Matt, how much do you give these guys? Is it just the basics on the installation, just to kind of get them ready for once everyone comes in for OTAs, or what do you get this 2 days in?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of install going in. I mean, certainly the first day of install in both offensively and defensively, we give them, and then we'll kind of see how practice goes and whether or not we give them install too.
How much are you looking forward to seeing these guys do more football moves and less underwear Olympics type stuff that you've had in the pre-draft process?
Yeah, no, it's always exciting when you get these guys in the building. It's like getting a bunch of new toys. So we'll see how they acclimate themselves and how they can take what they learn in the classroom out to the field.
Are there any markers you can look for, things that you want to see out of them the first 2 days?
Yeah, certainly. They're always being evaluated on what they do on the field, but also how they act off the field, how they treat people within the building, how they handle themselves within the meeting rooms. So we told them everything is under evaluation.
Quay was talking about how him and Devontae were able to meet with Eric yesterday. How much do you think that his presence here on that defense can help them, being a guy that's already gone through what they're about to go through as first-round picks and a guy that they know well?
Well, I'm sure it'll be comfortable for those two guys. I mean, anytime you go into a new situation with a bunch of unknowns and there is a familiar face there, I think that lends some comfort to those two guys. But, I do think that we have a pretty impressive locker room, a lot of great veterans, and I think they'll all take these guys kind of under their wing.
That culture that they're coming from, a completely loaded Georgia defense, obviously a national champion, how much in general do you think that coming from an environment like that helps ease the transition into the NFL?
Well, they've played on the biggest of stages, so I don't think it'll ever be too big for them. But certainly, yeah, there was a lot of talent on that defense.
We got to meet Devontae Wyatt today, and I said, despite all the great plays you put on tape with the Bulldogs, what's that like when you get that 4.77 in the 40 at the combine? Do you remember that moment or the buzz after that about he just put himself maybe into the first round with that performance?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you hear it all, but ultimately it always comes back to the tape and what they've done and put on tape. I think there's certainly a lot there, and I know just getting to know him, we had him up here for a 30 visit. He was super impressive, and I know our coaches really liked him as well.
Matt, the three receivers that you guys drafted, how similar or different are they in terms of a skill set and what each one of them brings?
Yeah, they're all their own type of receiver, but I do think that they all offer some versatility, whether or not we want to put them inside or outside, and they're all eager to learn, and we'll just see how much they can handle and how fast they can acclimate themselves to our offense.
And is there such thing as fast-tracking somebody, a rookie, to get them ready further than somebody else, especially at the receiver position? Or does it have to just happen organically?
Yeah, I think it's all about reps and just putting these guys in situations, and certainly they're going to get a ton of reps, but a lot of it's going to be kind of on their own as well. And again, I think anytime they give us confidence and show us that they know what they're doing and can go out there and execute, you tend to give people more opportunities. So that's kind of how that's going to go.
You have an open roster spot. Presumably you'll sign one of these tryout guys that you got here this week. How do you decide? Is it simply the best guy, or is it you trying to fill maybe a spot where you're weak? I guess what goes into that decision?
I think everything goes into that. Certainly you want to get the best players, but there are some positions where whether we have guys that are injured or we feel like we need more competition there, and that's a discussion that I think Goody and I will have sometime tomorrow.
Speaking of tryout guys, what do you know about Kendall Karch from St. Norbert, and what do you think it takes for a guy coming from a lower level like that to give himself a shot?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know a ton about him. I know he was here for our local day, and he looked pretty impressive out there. So, we'll see how he responds today out there on the grass and in some competitive situations, and just take it kind of one rep at a time.
What are you looking for out of your quarterbacks? I mean, such a important position as far as just getting everybody lined up and all that, but I know Danny's been here a bit, but the other guy has not.
Yeah, just, you said it, taking command, taking charge, articulating the play calls, and just kind of being the coach on the field out there. So, anytime you get in these rookie camps, you're not quite sure how far along these guys are. And I know that our coaches are going to be kind of shadowing their position group, even in, we're not doing any 11-on-11 drills, but in all the 7-on-7. So I'm sure that, they're going to get a lot of help from the position coaches out there.
You have a guy who's 6'9", 370. Have you ever coached a guy that big?
I have not. Nope. He is enormous.
Hey, Matt, you've done 4 of these now. I suppose one was in the virtual realm a couple of years ago. But what do you say to these guys when they come in? And on the flip side, do you look out at those eyeballs looking at you the first time you address them? Can you see that I know they've all played at high levels and been successful, but now they're in the NFL. Can you see a little bit of an awe that you have to kind of get them past and help them to kind of lock in?
No, I think that anytime you go into a new situation, there's a ton of unknowns, and I'm sure there are some nerves. But no, it's good to have these guys in here, and just in my short time with dealing with these guys, it seems to be a pretty impressive group. There's a lot of big bodies that you'll notice out there that certainly look the part, and ultimately they're going to have to take, like I said, the stuff that they learn in the classroom and out in the field, and we'll see how they respond.
Does this group, do they stay here now and jump into the off-season program, or do you send them to
No, we have to send them back. So we'll send them back home, and then the reason I like to do the first week is you tend to get a few better tryout guys, and then also it kind of gives them a week to go back home and digest some of the things that you've taught them. So hopefully that when they get back here and integrated with our veterans, that they're not starting from scratch. So I think it does kind of give them a little bit of a jump start in terms of, number one, how we operate and the expectations, the standards that we have set forth here, but also just in terms of our football.
Is the schedule these days, how close is it to what you'll expect in OTAs? I mean, you report this time, meeting, lunch, practice, film, how close do you get to where you'll be this spring?
In terms of our OTA practice days?
Yeah, the way you structure the day.
Yeah, no, it's not the same. These days are a little bit longer for our players. I mean, just by the rules of the NFL. So it's a little bit different, I would say.
This is your biggest draft class. Does that change your approach at all with how you split time, reps, anything at all?
Not in terms of rookie minicamp. We're still kind of working through our OTA schedules in terms of how we are going to format and structure the practices. A lot of it's going to be on the availability of our players who shows up, because we all know it's voluntary, and hopefully, the majority of the guys will want to be here.
With Zach Thomas talking to us, his goal is to be a 5-position guy for you. How do you balance the fact that he can do all these things, but the other part of it, you don't want to overload him and he can't really do any of them well?
Yeah, I think that's just something that you kind of feel out as you go, and you're going to give him as much as he can handle, and he is a smart guy, and he's going to have to prove it. So we'll give him a little bit at a time, and some of it could be just do on a day-to-day basis in terms of who's available to go out there and practice. Certainly, we've got a couple guys that are coming off major injuries, and we'll see where they're at, but sometimes it's just filling in where the hole is.
With that in mind, a couple of guys.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
With that in mind, a couple of guys mentioned this is the biggest playbook they've ever had to get through. Like, what's the ideal timeline for them showing up, having it down?
Yesterday.
What's the second most ideal?
I mean, it's just everybody learns at a different pace, and that's what I do think is pretty beneficial, like just getting them the information early. And, I guess what the last couple off seasons have provided us is we've put a lot of stuff on video, and they can kind of watch at their own leisure. So a lot of it's going to be, how much do they want to study each and every day?
You kind of incorporated what you had to do through the Zoom stuff a couple of years ago, moving forward now, and it's a part of your routine now that everything's back to normal in the building?
Well, it's just we have a lot of stuff cataloged, and so there's a lot of videos. If a guy wants to go watch, whether it's offensively, defensively, obviously our special teams, we've got some new leadership there, but a lot of that stuff's cataloged, and they can go watch videos, whether it's on a certain coverage or a certain pass concept or run concept, and kind of learn at their own pace.
Time for 2 more?
Matt, when you had Christian Watson in here, are you able to get him on a board and test his football acumen? And can you tell when you're doing that whether a guy can, has good learning capacity, quick learning capacity?
Yeah, I think that's always the challenge, right? A lot of it is, their recall on their own offense and what they can articulate. You might just put on a random game and just start asking them questions, because for a lot of these guys, you don't know what you don't know, what you haven't been exposed to. So I think it can be a little bit unfair if some guys are exposed to more football, if you will, and maybe football that translates to our level. And you can't hold that against guys that haven't been. So how do you find out what they're capable of? It's a challenge. It definitely is. I think one thing that we try to do is at the beginning of the meeting is, you install something to them, and then you watch some of their tape, and then you kind of go back to that and see kind of their recall on and the detail at which they do it, and they give it back to you.
And Matt, Rasheed Walker was saying that he bumped into Bakhtiari while he was here.
Mhm.
Were the vets here like yesterday that they crossed over a little bit? And is there a little value in that, just to see these young guys around the building and have them see the veteran players before they have to actually start practicing with them?
Yeah, we couldn't have them in the building until we were done with our hours of phase 2. So I know they came in the afternoon, and there might have been some guys doing a little extra on their own, David in the training room or wherever he was. So yeah, I think that's always good. The sooner they get to learn and know their teammates, that's a big thing that we emphasize here, and is just getting to know one another, because I do think that there's something special about a group that is well connected and that they care for one another. So like I said, we got a great locker room and a lot of not only great players, but great people in that locker room, and I expect our veterans will do a great job of kind of taking these guys under their wing.